Thank you for joining us today. And also joining us today is none other than Damien Brown, who competes for RIZIN in their lightweight division. Damien, how are you today?
I'm awesome, man. How are you?
All good. And obviously, I'm here based in the United States. You're over in Australia, Brisbane to be specific. What are things like over there in terms of the COVID-19 pandemic?
Man, it's crazy. Like, we got 12 active cases in our state, and we still got like half businesses are locked down. Some of them are open with a maximum of 5 or 10 people. It's crazy. Like, you know, it should be business as usual with extra hygiene procedures, and people should be able to train, but instead we're locked down, and we're allowed to go out, and we're allowed to go for picnics, and we're allowed to go to the beach. People are allowed to sit and drink beers in a pub together, but you can't go to the gym. It's a weird kind of situation.
Right, and of course that would play an integral role in your life. Not only are you a professional fighter, but you own your own gym. Is that correct? Base Training Center?
Yeah. So in Brisbane's north side, I got a like a martial arts and fitness center. So it's half CrossFit style setup, strength conditioning, and half MMA jiu-jitsu. And we've been shut down 8 weeks, nearly 9 weeks, and we're expecting that we can open, but there'll still be no contact mid-June, which doesn't really help our case. A lot of people don't want to come to a martial arts gym to do solo drills. So, we just got to make do and do the best we can. And, but yeah, it's going to be 3 months by the time we can open, 12 weeks. So it's been certainly a challenging time.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we've been hearing very difficult and sad stories from across the sport and even wider that for gym owners who aren't able to hold classes or have individuals come in, it can be very difficult financially. We've seen gym closures and leases being facing issues financially. Has there been any issues there as far as Base Training Center?
Well, 100%. I mean, not with my gym in particular. Like from the time we were told that we were going to have to shut, I knew that I would open again. So it was never a doubt in my mind whether or not we would open the gym again. But I have a lot of friends who own gyms in and around the same sort of area, like about 15, 20 Ks away. And, some people aren't going to open again. I think that's kind of normal if you've got a small gym, and, it was kind of tight before, then it's going to be tight now. We've only been open 12 months. I did it, thankfully for my time in the UFC and that, I was in a position to open my gym, and, I invested a lot into it, but I didn't go into a lot of debt. And the gym's doing really well. And, probably the biggest thing that's been a positive for me is the loyalty from our members. We've got a lot of members who don't have a change in work conditions and have decided to stay paying full time. We offered a return on investment once we open again. So we have a lot of members who have stayed loyal to the gym, and that's helped us immensely. I mean, like, we probably would be in that boat where we'd be struggling to open again if that wasn't the case. So we, as a gym and a center, owe it to our members, for that reason. So yeah, it's for us in particular, we will open again. It's just, we've been open 13 months, and it's like going back 13 months and opening like a new gym. So we just shut the doors and did some planning in the background. We're going to come back, with a phase 2 ready to go again.
Absolutely. And it's great to hear that you are in a good position with the gym. And it's also great to hear that the loyalty among the members is so great. To help out a small business, especially in the MMA community, is something very important during these times. So very happy to hear that from both you and them. Now, you did mention your time in the UFC. I'd be remiss if we didn't go over it, because it was an incredibly exciting run. The loss in your debut followed by 2 very emphatic wins. And then there was the end streak of your career, which was wrapped up in the UFC with 2 very contentious split decisions that really could have gone either way. But they were absolute barn burners. Can you talk about your time in the UFC and the way in which you felt that was?
Yeah, man. I mean, to start with, I felt like that, an injustice that I was cut, but that's the way the game goes. You know, it's a cutthroat business, and if you ain't winning, then you know, they turn their back on you. But that's the way it goes. And so you know, I guess like if you go in there and you don't understand that, then it would hurt a lot more. But it takes a long time to get there. And you know, like everyone says with this sport, the highs are really high and the lows are really low. There's nothing in between. You know, we do it for those feelings. So it's my time in the UFC was insane, man. Like, there's not a single day, blood, sweat, and tears that I would take back from the 7 years leading up to that. Like, it was literally the best time of my life. In saying that, since then, it's been the same. You know, the UFC provided me with opportunities after the UFC that I wouldn't have had pre-UFC. So it's been really good. Like, and when I signed with the UFC, it was a crazy feeling, man. You know, calling my wife and telling her that, you know, we did it. Like, there was a long time where, you know, the people around you, they don't doubt you and your ability, but they doubt whether it's going to happen. And they're the ones that sit and watch you, you know, go through it all. And, you know, they ride the wave with you, so to speak. So it was nice to finally get there and for all the hard work to pay off. You know, it comes with its upsides and its downsides. If you're not surrounded by the right team, then it's easy for you know, it's easy for things to go pear-shaped. And if you're surrounded by the right team, then you'll get propped up. So I'm fortunate that I've got a really good bunch of people around me now who were around me then, and I was well supported, and the people that truly believed in me still believe in me now, and still believe that, you know, I've got more to prove and more to offer. So I'm thankful for that. You know, as far as the UFC goes itself, you know, there's a lot of things going on there. You know, like, people always talk about fighters getting more money, and I agree. Fighters could get a better percentage of money. You know, fighters should unionize, but the UFC treat you like royalty, man. Like, they really, you can't fault Dana White and you know, the matchmakers for the way they treat you. You never go to a show and need anything. The UFC staff are insane. The way they treat you is so good, and they're really nice, really friendly. But more importantly, like, you're in the middle of fight week, you're cutting weight, whatever you need, it's there. You literally just got to call them, and they're just going to make it happen. So it's really good like that. You know, the UFC afforded me a better life. I won a performance of the night bonus, like you said. 2 razor close split decisions is what ended my career in the UFC. One that was fight of the night. You know, I kind of thought my fight with Camacho was a draw. I never really, you know, kind of thought that I won, but I definitely didn't feel like I lost. I thought that we could have went out on a draw there. You know, and I thought that, you know, given that he'd missed weight and we got performance of the night, that I probably deserved that extra $50K, which we've seen in the past prior to that and since then, people getting that whole $100,000, and you know, I wasn't afforded that opportunity. So, but then, you know, the last split decision against Dong Kim, or Dong Ma, as he's known now, I thought I won. I mean, I thought I had the more, you know, according to the stats, I think he outstruck me by like 3 or 4 strikes each round or something for 2 of the 3 rounds. But I was on the front foot. I landed the heaviest strikes. You know, he was carried out of there, man. He broke his leg. Well, I broke his leg. But, you know, I thought that I was dominant in that fight. You know, I controlled the octagon. I controlled the pace of the fight. I landed the bigger strikes, created the more damage, and yet I walk away, split decision down. You know, I think that there's a long way to go in MMA in general as far as refereeing and judging goes. The refereeing's getting better, but the judging is dog shit, man. It's you know, we got bloody boxing judges judging MMA, and it's just like it's rubbish, man. You know, but at the same time, it's a young sport, and people, you know, we're coming through in an era where people are developing, you know, judges are developing, referees are developing, athletes are developing. In 20 years' time, you know, we're still going to get dodgy, shitty decisions. Like, look, boxing still gets them, but, you know, I think they'll be better. They'll be less often. You know, you could probably see a bad decision at least once on every card right now. We've seen 3 last weekend. So, yeah, it is what it is, man. You just got to take the good with the bad. And like I said, the UFC provided me with a great opportunity when they signed me. They provided me with a fantastic platform to showcase my skills. They provided me with an opportunity to train full time, and to, you know, I had a full time job my entire career. I still do, but they provided me the opportunity to take 8 weeks off every time I had a fight and go away and do a camp. So, or like to focus on my camp. So that's what I did. And, you know, I'm very fortunate that I was offered that opportunity in my career, and that now, since then, I'm in the position I am. You know, my Fight of the Night bonus opened my gym. I went towards opening my gym. A lot of things that, if it wasn't for the UFC, they wouldn't have happened. And so I'm fortunate for that. But now I'm definitely focused on moving forward. You know, when I got released, I won 2 fights in a row, and then obviously I lost to the current GP winner for RIZIN. But you know, I win a couple more fights in the UFC ring. Like, I'll be 36 years old, but I'll still answer that call. It doesn't worry me, man. I'll fight wherever against whoever that wants to fight, you know. So we'll see where the rest of my career goes. But I'm very grateful for the opportunity that I was provided in the UFC.
Absolutely. And of course, you mentioned your time in RIZIN. You are 2-1, wins over Darren Cruikshank, it's Takeda, and your only loss is to the current lightweight champion, Tafik Musayev. So absolutely no shame in that loss. I mean, the guy is out here winning tournaments, beating Bellator opponents. But I want to get your thoughts on your experience fighting in RIZIN. I previously interviewed Jake Hyun, who, while not an Australian, is in Australia right now. So I've got 2 Australian-based fighters from RIZIN. I don't know how that worked out with the coincidence. But what's your experience been like over in RIZIN relative to the UFC, but also as a promotion in and of itself?
RIZIN's very much, you know, it's like a smaller scale of the UFC. You know, they've got it sorted out. I mean, you know, you got the same sort of staff and president as Pride, and they know what's going on. They know how to treat athletes, and again, that, you know, it's kind of like the one thing that I don't like, but it's part of MMA, is it's big corporation stuff. So you're just a number. Do you know what I mean? Like, if they need you, they treat you well. If they don't need you, they don't call you. That's the UFC as well. Like, so I hate it, because I feel like at the same time, as an MMA athlete, you're underappreciated by the promotions. But when they need you, they give you everything. So I think that's just a part of the game, but it's a pretty shitty feeling. But RIZIN themselves and the staff of RIZIN, they treat you fantastic. They treat you the same as the UFC did. The difference is you're being treated like that by the matchmaker. You know, like, I've barely ever seen Sean Shelby or Mick Maynard or Joe Silva, or like, I met Dana White once. He shook my hand at a weigh-in. It's such a big organization that you deal with staff who work for them, whereas RIZIN, you're dealing with the matchmaker. You know, you occasionally see the promoter. You see the commentators. Like, it's a smaller scale, but they treat you the same. You're in a fantastic 5-star hotel. Meals are included. Man, they give you your own room and your own room for your corner. So that's better than UFC. But it's yeah, they really do treat you good. They look after you. And I must say, I certainly didn't lose anything by leaving the UFC. That's for sure. I've been treated well, and I've been paid for my time.
Absolutely. And on your Twitter, your bio states that you were an MMA free agent. Is your contract with RIZIN not exclusive, or is that contract now up?
So RIZIN was never exclusive. RIZIN is exclusive only in Asia in my contracts that I had. And I was on a GP contract. So once the Grand Prix was over, I was a free agent along with everyone else, which is the same reason why Tofik was able to field offers from like the UFC. And it's the same reason Hollywood Case went on to sign with PFL and announced it on the 1st of January. So everyone was on a Grand Prix contract, which didn't have fights afterwards, I believe. Or at least I was. And so, again, that comes down to that. When they need you, they'll call you. I'm a free agent, but I'm rallying to continue fighting for RIZIN. I love RIZIN. I love Japan. I like the way the people treat me, whether it's the promotion themselves and the staff or whether it's the fans. I like the theatrical side of RIZIN and the entrances and the grand opening to the shows. Everything about it is what I like, and it's where I want to finish my career. Like I said, if the UFC called again, I'd answer the call, but I would most certainly be happy fighting the next sort of 1 to 3, 4, 5 years, however long it is, out in Japan. I'm treated well, I'm paid well, and I'm respected. And that's all we can really ask for in this kind of, cutthroat game.
Absolutely. And of course, if you're staying with RIZIN, there are a lot of very appealing fights for you on that contract. Obviously, there are fighters within RIZIN who stand out, but also RIZIN has shown a willingness to co-promote, specifically with Bellator MMA. So there's even more opponents in mind. I know on Twitter, you've been kind of going a little bit back and forth with Mikuru Asakura. Can you talk a little bit about that fight? And is that the fight that you'd like next in RIZIN?
Yeah, man, I'm a fighter, and I believe that you should be willing to fight everyone, and I hate people being protected, you know what I mean? And I don't feel like I understand building stars and the way it works, but I feel like you need to be tested, and I don't feel like he has been, and I'd like to get my hands on him. And at the same time, as a prize fighter and an athlete in this kind of sport, I think that you get your hands on someone like him who has the following he has in Japan, and you win, then that does a lot for your your brand. And so from a business side of it, it's a good fight, and from a athlete competition matchmaking point of view, it's a good fight. I can't make featherweight, but I can make 68 kilos. And he seems to be adamant that he wants to fight at 68 kilos all the time. So I just feel like if he wants to go and call out Tofik Masaev and all those kind of guys, then maybe he should find himself a genuine lightweight first and get a win. I mean, he beat what did he lose to, Gustavo? I can't remember. It was a pretty close fight. It was on New Year's Eve 2018, but it was I think he needs to. Gustavo's a featherweight as well, so I feel like he needs to fight a lightweight if he's going to go calling all those guys out. And I want to fight, and he's the man in RIZIN. So if he's the man in RIZIN, then he's the guy I want to fight. That's just the way it is.
Absolutely. And I understand that we're coming close to the 20-minute mark, so our time is running short. So I just have one final question for you. You recently launched your own podcast. Here you are appearing on mine, but you launched your own podcast, The Wireless, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's The Wireless Podcast. So jump on YouTube and Google YouTube search The Wireless Podcast. We only got 96 subscribers at the moment. I've done 2 episodes. So we had my teammate, Aaron Blackie, the best featherweight and soon to be the best bantamweight in this country. And and the next star when the UFC decided to ring us. And he was the first episode, and he's a really, really smart dude. You know, he's a school teacher, and he's got a very interesting way of breaking down martial arts. So he was a great first episode, and a good way for us to make sure that we had our I's dotted and our T's crossed. And then the second episode we just released 2 days ago with Jordan Sullivan, the fight dietitian, who works with Israel Adesanya and all the city kickboxing boys, Dan Hooker and all that, along with 100 other fighters and local guys. And he works with me as well. And so he was our second episode. We've got another one dropping Monday. So the Wireless Podcast. Check us out. We're on iTunes and Spotify as well.
Absolutely. We'll definitely be tuning in. Damien, thank you so much for your time. I very much appreciate that, and I wish you well going forward.
No worries, man. Thanks for that. I appreciate it.